The Young and the Restless spoilers. Audra has a plan. She'll take away Sally and Billy's happiness. But will it be easy? Audra has never been a charming man-loving figure. She's always scheming and calculating. After resolving their misunderstandings, Billy and Sally trust each other more and spend more time with each other. Audra watches as Billy reaches out, his fingers lightly brushing Sally's arm, then resting on her hand. It's not just an ordinary touch. It's possessive, desperate, and undeniably tender. She sees Sally's resistant fade, her shoulders slump, her characteristic fire of the Spectra family diminishing into something softer, more vulnerable. Audra and Sally thought they had joined forces to grow the company, but Audra's jealousy has cost her dearly. She's worked herself to the bone to make Spectra Charles Media a success. She needed Sally to be focused, decisive, and ambitious, not distracted by Billy Abbott's chaotic whirlwind. Billy was a destructive force. He had dragged Sally down into the mud with his obsession with Chancellor Industries, and now, just as Sally was beginning to regain her balance, he was pulling her back down again. Audra took a slow sip of her mineral water, the bubbles numbing her tongue. If Sally returned to Billy, the business would suffer. Audra's ambitions would suffer too. And Audra Charles didn't tolerate fools, nor did she tolerate losses. She watched as Billy whispered something that made Sally blush, a rare sight for the redhead. The connection between them was clear, a magnetic pull that Audra realized she couldn't break with simple advice or sarcastic warnings. She had tried to tell Sally that Billy was poison, but Sally was a relapsed addict right before her eyes. Audra set the glass down with a sharp clink. If reason wouldn't work, she needed a grenade. She needed something intense, undeniable, something that would burn everything between them, leaving nothing for love to blossom. Her mind began to slip, weaving threads of lies. It had to be personal. It had to be biological. It had to be a permanent bond that would make Sally see Billy not as a lover, but as a burden. A plan formed, sharp and clear in her mind. It was dangerous, yes. If it failed, it would drag her down with it. But Audra relished on being on the brink. She motioned for the waiter to bring that bill, her eyes never leaving the happy couple. The fluorescent lights in the clinic's private bathroom emitted an irritating buzz. Audra stood before the mirror, staring at her own reflection. That was the plan. In her hand was a small plastic pregnancy test stick. Of course, it wasn't hers. The positive result was obtained through a few discreet phone calls and a substantial bribe to a desperate lab technician she knew from her London days, who had moved to Wisconsin. This was a charade she was about to stage to scare Sally. She flipped the test over, 2 pink lines. Simple, she whispered, subtle. Would Sally and Billy end up together? This pregnancy test would completely ruin them. It sounded logical. Billy Abbott was notorious for his breakdowns, for seeking solace in anyone he felt hopeless. Who could say that wasn't her? They worked in the same circle. They were both ruthless. It sounded logical in a twisted, toxic way. She practiced her emotions in front of the mirror. She bowed her head, widening her eyes to portray an expression of anguish. She needed to look not like a scheming person, but like a woman bound by circumstances. She needed to look terrified. I don't want this, she practiced, her voice trembling slightly. I never wanted to hurt you, Sally. She cleared her throat and tried again, adding a touch of anxious sincerity. Just one night, it doesn't mean anything. Perfect. She slipped the pregnancy test into the designer handbag, the plastic clicking against her phone. Physical proof was only a backup plan. Her real weapon would be her performance. She looked at her watch. It was almost lunchtime. She knew exactly where Sally would be.
Society was humming with the midday rush. The clatter of silverware and the murmur of conversation created a wall of sound that Audra slipped through effortlessly. She spotted Sally immediately, sitting at a small table near the back, a tablet propped up in front of her, picking at a salad she clearly had no interest in. Sally looked radiant, despite the stress. There was a glow about her, the aftermath of Billy's courtships. It sickened Audra. That glow was the target. Audra didn't approach immediately. She went to the bar, ordering a club soda with a twist of lime, no alcohol. She had to sell the pregnancy, after all. She waited until Sally looked up and caught her eye. Audra froze, acting as if she had been caught doing something she shouldn't. She offered a weak, fleeting smile and turned away quickly, staring intently at her drink. Look baited. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw Sally frown, then stand up. Sally grabbed her tablet and walked over, her heels clicking rhythmically on the polished floor. Audra, Sally's voice was curious, laced with a hint of concern. I didn't know you were coming here. We could have shared a table. Audra turned slowly, clutching her glass like a lifeline. She forced her shoulders to hunch slightly, diminishing her usual statuesque posture. Oh, hi, Sally. I didn't want to disturb you. You look busy. I'm never too busy for my partner, Sally said, pulling out the stool next to her. She scrutinized Audra's face. You look pale. Are you okay? Is it the new account? Did the deal with Newman Media fall through? No, the business is fine, Audra said quickly, perhaps too quickly. She looked down at her hands. Everything is fine. Sally wasn't buying it. She narrowed her eyes, her instincts sharpening. You're a terrible liar, Audra. You look like you've seen a ghost. What's going on? Audra took a shaky breath, her eyes darting around the room as if checking for eavesdroppers. Not here, Sally. Please. Let's just go back to the office. No, Sally said firmly, placing a hand on Audra's arm. You're shaking. Sit down. Talk to me. We're friends, right? Whatever it is, we can fix it. We're friends. The words twisted in Audra's gut, but she pushed the guilt down. This was for Sally's own good. Saving her from Billy was an act of mercy, even if the method was brutal. I can't fix this, Audra whispered, her voice cracking perfectly. God, Sally, I don't even know how to look at you. Sally pulled back, her confusion morphing into an ease. What are you talking about? Did you do something to the company, Audra? If you sold us out to Victor, it's not business. Audra snapped, then lowered her voice, looking terrified. It's not business. It's personal. She let the silence hang there, heavy and suffocating. She saw the gears turning in Sally's head, trying to calculate what personal issue Audra could possibly have that involved her. Audra reached into her bag. Her hand trembled a nice touch, she thought. She didn't pull out the test yet. That was the finale. Instead, she just rested her hand on her stomach. A subtle, protective gesture. Sally followed her gaze. Her eyes widened. Audra, are you? Audra closed her eyes and nodded, a single tear escaping to trace a path down her cheek. I'm pregnant. Sally blinked, clearly caught off guard. Oh well, I didn't even know you were seeing anyone serious. I mean, congratulations. Is that the right word? She laughed nervously. Who's the lucky guy? Is it Nate? Or did you reconnect with someone in London? This was it. The precipice. Audra looked up, her eyes swimming with tears. She locked gazes with Sally, letting the silence stretch until it was painful. She opened her mouth, then closed it, shaking her head. I can't, Audra choked out. I can't tell you. Why not? Sally asked, her smile fading. A cold shadow passed over her face. Audra, who was the father? Audra bit her lip, looking away, her voice barely a whisper. It happened a few weeks ago, when things were chaotic. I was drinking too much. He was upset. It was a mistake, Sally. A terrible, stupid mistake. Sally went very still. The air between them seemed to drop 20 degrees. He was upset, Sally repeated slowly. Who was upset? Audra looked back at her, her expression pleading. I never meant for this to happen. I swear to you. I would never do anything to hurt you intentionally. But the test, it's positive. Audra, Sally's voice was low, dangerous. Say his name. Audra took a deep, shuddering breath. She leaned in close, ensuring only Sally could hear the detonation. It's Billy. The world seemed to stop. The clatter of the restaurant faded into a dull roar in the background. Sally stared at her, her face freezing into a mask of shock. What? Sally whispered. It's Billy, Audra repeated, letting the sob break through her voice. It's Billy's baby. Sally sat back as if she'd been slapped. She stared at Audra, her mind rejecting the information. No, that's impossible. Billy and we've been. You were on a break, Audra interjected quickly, grabbing Sally's hand across the bar. Sally flinched but didn't pull away. Remember, a few weeks ago, he was spiraling about the Chancellor takeover. He came to the club. I was there. We were both in a bad place. He never mentioned seeing you, Sally said, her voice shaking. He told me everything. He said he was alone. He said he was thinking about us. He was thinking about you, Audra insisted, squeezing Sally's hand. That's why it happened. He was so broken up about you. Sally. He was drunk and angry and I was there. It didn't mean anything to him. I was just a distraction, a warm body to help him forget the pain of losing you. Audra watched the doubt creep into Sally's eyes. It was working. The timeline fit. Billy's history of reckless behavior fit. The fact that he hadn't mentioned it. That was just Billy trying to cover his tracks, trying to preserve his chance at reconciliation. I don't believe you, Sally said. Though her voice lacked conviction, she pulled her hand away. Billy wouldn't do that, not with you. No offense, Audra, but you and Billy, you hate each other. Hate and passion are two sides of the same coin, Audra said quietly. And alcohol blurs the lines. You know that, Sally. You know who he is when he's hurting. She reached into her bag and pulled out the plastic stick, wrapped in a tissue. She slid it across the polished wood of the bar. I didn't believe it either, Audra said softly. I took 3 tests. They're all the same. Sally stared at the tissue. She didn't touch it. She looked at it with a mixture of revulsion and horror. He doesn't know, Audra continued, pressing her advantage. I haven't told him yet. I wanted to tell you first, because I know you two are trying to work things out, and I didn't want you to be blindsided. You expect me to believe that you slept with Billy Abbott, Sally said, her voice rising slightly, drawing a few glances from nearby tables. And now you're pregnant, just as we're getting back together. The timing is a little convenient, don't you think? You think I want this? Audra hissed, her eyes flashing with faint anger. Do you think I want to be tied to Billy Abbott for the rest of my life? Do you think I want to raise a child with a man who is in love with my business partner? This is a nightmare for me. Sally, I have a career. I have a reputation. This ruins everything. She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. I thought about getting rid of it. I did. But I don't think I can. And now I'm trapped. Sally watched her, the skepticism warring with the visual evidence of Audra's distress. Audra Charles was a shark, yes. Manipulator, yes. But this was messy. It didn't feel like a business play. It felt like a disaster. And the way Audra described Billy broken, drunk, seeking solace, it rang terrifyingly true. Sally remembered those nights a few weeks ago when Billy had gone dark, when he hadn't answered her texts. He had claimed he was just thinking, walking the city. Had he been with Audra? The seed of doubt, once planted, began to sprout rapid, thorny vines. Why are you telling me this? Sally asked, her voice hollow. Audra wiped her eyes, smudging her mascara artfully. Because he's going to deny it. You know he will. He'll say I'm lying. He'll say I'm crazy. He'll do anything to keep you. But I couldn't let you walk into this blindly. You deserve the truth. Audra reached out and touched Sally's hand again. I'm so sorry, Sally. If I could take that night back, I would. But there's a baby now. A baby that is half him. And whether we like it or not, that changes everything. Sally looked at Audra, then down at her own stomach, then back to the pregnancy test sitting on the bar like a loaded gun. The I love you Billy had written on her hand felt like it was burning her skin. He loves me, Sally whispered, more to herself than Audra. I know he does, Audra said gently. But is that enough? Can you build a future with him knowing that I'm going to be there, every step of the way? Knowing that he has a child with me? Audra let the question hang in the air. She saw the answer in Sally's eyes before Sally even spoke. The light was going out. The hope was fracturing. Sally stood up abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. She looked like she was going to be sick. I have to go, Sally said, her voice brittle. Sally, wait, Audra started, standing up as well. Don't, Sally snapped, backing away. She looked at Audra with a mix of betrayal and devastation. Just don't. I need to think. I need to ask him. He'll lie to you, Audra called out after her, her voice trembling with fake desperation. Please, be prepared for him to lie. Sally didn't look back. She turned and rushed out of the restaurant, pushing past the hostess, disappearing into the bright afternoon light of Genoa City. Audra stood there for a moment, watching the door swing shut. Slowly, the distressed expression melted from her face. She sat back down on the bar stool, picked up her club soda, and took a long, cool sip. She reached out and retrieved the pregnancy test, slipping it back into her bag. Checkmate, She whispered into the glass. The waiter walked by, looking concerned. Is everything all right, Miss Charles? Your friend seemed upset. Audra turned to him, her smile dazzling and sharp as a diamond. Oh, everything is wonderful, thank you. Just sharing some unexpected news. Life is full of surprises, isn't it? She placed a crisp $100 bill on the counter. Keep the change. As she walked out of society, Audra felt a surge of adrenaline. The first domino had fallen. Sally was on her way to confront Billy, armed with a lie so damaging it would shatter his defense before he could even mount one. Billy would deny it, of course. He would scream and shout and call Audra a liar. But the more he denied it, the more desperate he would look. And Sally, poor, damaged Sally who had been lied to by so many men, would look at his desperation and see guilt. She would remember the missing hours. She would remember Audra's tears. And she would run. Audra checked her phone. A text from a business contact. She ignored it. She had more important work to do. She needed to prepare for Act 2, the confession to Billy. She would have to play it differently with him, gaslight him, make him doubt his own memory of his blackout drunken nights. It would be harder, but Audra was ready. She stepped out onto the sidewalk, the sun warming her face. In the distance, she could almost hear the sound of Billy Abbott's life imploding. It was, to her ears, the sweetest music she had heard in years. Audra Charles adjusted her sunglasses, hailed a cab, and disappeared into the city, the architect of a chaos she intended to rule.